Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of my new series called Aircraft Investigations. If you don't know what this series is about, I mainly talk about why planes crash and new plane crashes, and I try to figure out why they would crash. Episode 1 we talked about the latest plane crash, which was a couple days ago, Air Asia flight 8501. Now I highly recommend you check out that video because it has a lot of things that could have caused a plane to crash. Today we're going to be talking about a very less known plane crash that happened in August of 2014. This is Sephan Airlines flight 5915. This plane crashed at Azadi Stadium in Tehran, Iran. This plane was carrying 48 people on board, 8 crew, 40 passengers. There's not much information on this. This was only broadcasted for a day. This plane crashed shortly after takeoff. Apparently the engine failed. And then the plane hit the ground, and then fatalities, there was 39, and only 9 people survived the crash. Now, what will cause an engine to fail at takeoff? Now this plane was a Cessna, I don't know how you say this, I'm just going to call it Iran. Hisa Iran 140. These planes were manufactured in Iran, according to my knowledge. What else can I say? They look Russian. They look like Antonovs. The registration of the plane was EPGPA. Okay, as I was saying, what would cause a plane to lose its engine shortly after takeoff? First option is a bird strike. Now, this is most probably one of the most famous plane crashes in American history, but in 2009, on January 15th, U.S. Airlines Flight 1549 flew into the flew into the Hudson River, and having all of its 155 people on board survive the crash. At least I think it was 155. That plane encountered a flock of Canada geese shortly after takeoff, and the amazing pilot, Chesley Sullenberger, managed to get the plane on the ground using his help from his co-pilot. I think his name was Jeffrey Skiles. And that plane was an A320, the latest one of the greatest models of Airbus ever made. They introduced the fly-by-wire system. Fly-by-wire is a bunch of computer fixes that would allow the computer to help land the plane, would allow it to flare, which is basically get the nose up for landing. It would take it out of a stall if it needed to. It would let you know when you need to put the gear down. It would have a lot of nice systems on it, and the best thing of all, it wouldn't use like the joystick, like the yoke that you see in normal planes, like things that you turn like a car. They would actually use a joystick, like in fighter planes that are on the side of the cockpit, so the pilots can manage things in front of them easier. Now I think that's a great example of nice work from Airbus. Now, the Hisa Iran 140. I'm just going to click here and see its history. This doesn't look like a very durable plane. It's used in Ukraine, Iran, and Russia only. These are the only airlines that it provides. Antonov Airlines, a bunch of Russian that I can't understand. Iran Police Aviation, and Sephan Airlines. Sephan Airlines. It's had a very bad history, as I can see. This one was the one we're talking about today. And its more popular cousin, the ATR-72, let's look at that, is much more safer. It's barely had any crashes. The crash that first pops into my mind is Tunatair. I think it is Tunatair. Not Transasia. I'm looking for Tunatair. As you can see, there are a lot more crashes, but let me just let you know that these were crashes caused at least the Tunit airline. I can't find it. Where is it? Yeah, it's up here. Alright, Tunit Air Flight 1153 was a flight from Bari, Italy to Tunisia. It ran out of fuel and had to ditch in the Mediterranean Sea. This was because its cousin, the ATR-42, they'd have different fuel gauges, and some mechanic was drunk, quotation mark drunk, and put the ATR-42 fuel gauge in there, so it looked like they had enough fuel to go to Tunisia, but they didn't. So that's what comes to my mind with an ATR-72. Back to the Antonov 140. Wait a second. Antonov 140. These guys. So this is an Antonov 140. Oh, okay, I gotcha. I was just confused there. So the Antonov 140 does not look like it can fly with one engine. Most planes are capable to fly with one engine, except for the propeller planes, because they're small, and like the 737 can fly with only one engine. Same with the 747, it can even fly with one engine, I think, one or two engines. So the plane bird strike would be very highly unlikely because this crash would be solved immediately, but it says for unknown reasons. So bird strike is highly unlikely. Now, if these were small birds like sparrows, because I'm not an expert on Iranian birds, but for sparrows, for example, just referring to American birds, they would be small and they would be hard to see, especially by air traffic controllers. This was at Iran's busiest airport. Mehrabad? Oh, no, it's not. I thought it was Tehran. Mehrabad International Airport. It's a small airport. It was going to Tabriz Airport, another small airport. So another one is fuel starvation, but in order for that to happen, it's got to have both engines go out. Another one could be mechanical failure. An ASA flight, I forget the flight number, crashed in Georgia because one of its engines exploded because of the holder was cracked. Those are the two ones that pop into my mind about this flight. What other ones could happen? There could be a mechanical failure as well. Maybe something got jammed and that stopped the propeller from rotating. That would be an example. What else? Maybe, as I said, mechanical failure, bird strike, and fuel starvation are the first ones that pop into my mind. Mechanical failure would be the most probable. The only time I've ever heard a plane crash where an engine was turned off and it was pilot error, the only one where I've ever heard that, was the M11 motorway crash in England. A BMI flight crashed because the pilot accidentally turned off the wrong engine. There was two engines, one of them was flaming and the pilot turned off the other one, so the plane just lost power, and he turned the other one off completely because that's what you have to do in an emergency. You have to turn off the engine, the flaming engine, for good. You cannot turn it back on. So they turned off the wrong one, and then the flaming engine just burned itself out, and then they crashed into the M11 motorway near a runway of an airport. This could be happening again. However, there would be an emergency going on one of the engines. Now, if they find something bad about this plane earlier, I think mechanical error is the only way I'm going to be leading to now. It's not going to be found out yet, but it will be soon. I really hope so. So I think that this plane was caused by some either jamming in the engine right here, or something was clogging it up. I do not know how long it was held over that night, or that day, or whatever. But if it was held off for a long time, it would most probably, something will most probably go in there and start. You see these vents that I'm pointing to with my cursor? These vents could allow bugs to get in and start a farm. Because there was this Bergendair flight where wasps clogged up one of the pitot tubes. Pitot tubes allow the pilots to conduct their airspeed. So the wasps were blocking up these tubes with their nests. And then the pilots could not tell how fast they were going or how high they were. So the plane just went crazy and stalled and crashed into the sea. And that plane was held over for about, I don't know, 3 days. That allowed wasps to get in and start a nest. So the same could be happening to one of these engines. A bug could be coming in and starting a farm or something in there. That could be clogging up the engine. Now remember, this is shortly after takeoff. This could, if this was the case, how come it didn't happen on pushback when the plane's engines began to start up? That's a very good question. I do not have the answer to that. Another option could be just the jam in the propellers. There was a flight. There was a I forgot about that flight. It was a flight in Alaska that one of the propellers tore off the engine mount and then cut a hole in the bottom of the aircraft. It was Aleutian Airlines, I think. Anyway, so the propeller could have jammed if one of the propeller blades was bent. It could have jammed something on takeoff. Because when a plane is taxiing, it has to go as fast as a car will go. And so it might not have enough time to jam. But if the plane is going at full speed and then it began to bend more and more and more, that it would eventually start tearing up the engine on its own, and then the plane would just plummet to the ground. Those are my ideas about this plane crash. Today's question is, for you all viewers, do you think the Antonov 14's, do you think a mechanical error caused this crash? If not, what else would cause this crash? That is my question for you guys. I will keep you updated on this plane. Whenever the crash gets figured out, I will be mentioning it in one of my other videos, because I'm not going to do a separate video on that. That's my video about Sephan Airlines, Flight 5915. Thank you all for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all at my other videos.